My name's Jay, and you're listening to Music Marauders Live. This is episode 2 coming at you from Denver, Colorado. That was Mo playing Rebubula for our theme song there. And I'm joined today by the ever still bearded Nicholas Stock.
Actually, there's less beard this time. I don't know.
It does. I see on the side.
It's so much cleaner.
Cleaned up a little bit. It's kind of not protruding towards me a little bit. That's good.
My wife and I drunkenly cut it. So, I mean, I didn't cut it.
I had a very close call this morning that almost left me beardless with my wife, too. So I'm glad that we were both able to salvage a piece of something.
2 entirely different situations. Amazing, really. Yeah.
Lost me.
Wow. Okay. Moving forward.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us. We are live on Facebook, and we are also going to be recording this for our podcast that will be released across a bunch of different networks. Nick, how are you, buddy?
Good, man. Busy month. Lots going on. Lots of shows. Lots of floating around and checking out stuff.
You seem to float a lot.
I'm a floater.
You are a floater.
I don't stick to one thing.
Yeah.
I definitely dabble, as they say. I think that's a byproduct of Fish going on hiatus very early in my jam career.
It left you all over.
Yeah, I was orphaned by my band, and so that's when I found Mo and all these other bands. And then they came back for a couple years, and then they broke up for 5. So that left me ample opportunity to dive into all of the different realms that we call home these days. So
and here you are.
Yeah.
Look at you.
Yeah.
So what have you seen recently, bud?
Well, I'd have to start back at the beginning of November. We talked briefly during the live broadcast about the What the Night Brings benefit. Mm-hmm. I don't want to dive too far back into it, but I was on that front of house camera operator gig, and man, wow, what a night of music. Just the puzzle that was to put together was pretty amazing. I know you were there. You were on the rail the whole night.
I was on the rail. I realized that after 10 years of knowing my wife that she had never had that experience, and I thought, what better opportunity than that to see a bunch of our favorite bands and musicians up close. And we were able to get into the venue a little bit early, and I saw that bright, shining spot on the rail, and so we...
Wide open.
Yeah. And it was really cool, man. It was really special.
It was a really nice night, yeah. So I actually got a little bit of inside information about it the next night. I was on the crew for E-Town, and Railroad Earth, since they were obviously in town, played a very intimate performance at E-Town. And I kind of cornered Nick Forrester at the end of the night, and I was like, dude, thank you for doing it. Because for people that don't know, Nick Forrester from Hot Rise was the musical director of the entire event. So he was actually in charge of deciding who played what, who played where, and who did what. And so I kind of cornered him at the end of the night, and I was like, Nick, I can't even imagine what kind of a puzzle that was to put together. And he told me, he's like, yeah, there were times when a certain band would come to me and say, hey, we want to play this Yonder song, or we want to play this Jeff song, or whatever. And they'd have to stop and say, well, wait a minute, Yonder's going to play that tune, or who's going to play that tune. So specifically, he had to make some of those calls. And,
sure.
And then the bands came back to him. And so that was a special. So as I said, that whole week was pretty amazing. And then I ended it with Julian Davis at the Magic Rat, which is a random free show. I thought was a nice end to that week. Cool. Tribute to Jeff. So, and
what
then,
was the venue?
Magic Rat Live. It's just a small little, another Bohemian Foundation venue in the Elizabethan Hotel.
I've looked this up. It's kind of like a retro outfit indoors.
It's a tiny little bar place. It's got a nice patio. It's right in there in that new hotel that they renovated in Firehouse Alley. And the nice thing about it is most of the shows there are free. So take a look at the lineup there, because you're probably not going to pay for a ticket to go there, so it's nice.
Free music.
Love that. Love it.
Yeah.
And beyond that, I'll just dip into a little bit. I mean, caught a night of Cheese on their 2-night run at the Mission Ballroom. They, by all accounts, played their best show of the whole year on Saturday night. But
all accounts? Oh, we're not there Saturday.
I went to Friday.
I just figured if we're going to say all accounts, I was going to get some different accounts.
You're there Friday. That's fine. I mean, there's the I was talking to Dave Hearn and some of the other guys in the in the Cheese organization, and they were very pleased with that whole weekend run.
Wonderful.
And it was a great. Like I said, I took the wife to Friday night at the Mission, and God, what a great room! Just a really special place to see them. I think that room is much more their speed and much more their vibe than First Bank, but time will tell if that becomes a regular thing. So yeah, it's been a fun month and busy.
Brian, what do you want to talk about some of the stuff that you've seen recently? Because you've been doing kind of a cool thing.
Yeah,
venue that you're working with.
yeah. I got picked up to be the in-house shooter at Streets, which is an old storied punk bar on East Colfax. Yeah, it's a cool spot. They are under new ownership. New people came in and renovated it, built a good little stage, nice light rig, nice soundboard. So it's a legit venue now. But
The pictures look great. It looks like a very cool room, some different colors in the lights, not just that hot red.
yeah, they're very conscious of that. A lot of the people who work there, and it's funny. This bar used to be a watering hole for me, pretty much exclusively, because I lived across the street from there, and obviously that relationship has gotten a bit more professional recently. But a lot of the folks there are also in bands who play around. But they've been getting some killer shows. Last night I worked the Scotalites, who obviously
Yeah, we actually talked to them leading up to this to try to get them into the studio, but having that large of a band, and obviously that comes with some challenges, and we've got a great band. We've got the Drunken Hearts coming today, but yeah, we definitely try to get this. I still don't see them, so until they're here, they're not here. So
yeah, it's been cool working with them, and having something that's pretty reliable, and obviously knowing the room really well helps.
And I love the content that we've been getting, because it's a lot of different stuff than what we've been outputting typically. It's not a lot of jam and bluegrass. It's a lot more punk and rock and grungy stuff, and I'm loving it, man. It helps with our diversity.
Yeah, they're definitely not pigeonholed. That's for sure. It's a punk bar, but I've seen all kinds of acts go through there. Yeah, I saw the Scatolites there last night, exactly. And it's been blues, rock, punk, everything. So it's definitely been a cool experience to work for them. Cool. And then upcoming, I'm pretty stoked about. I've got the Jaunty next week, and then the night before that, one of my buddies, Eric, is marrying his lovely lady Victoria up at the Stanley Hotel. He's the bass player from Ponder the Albatross, but they're having a horror fantasy themed wedding. That should be a good time.
Wow. That's wild. What a commitment.
Yeah, it's going to be a good time.
Kevin's asking. It's horror, right? Horror.
Not horror.
Not horror. How dare you, Kevin? It's early in the show, buddy. Okay.
What does that mean?
It's We shall see.
Okay.
I'll be there. I'll be there with my camera, so I'll definitely.
Recap episode.
I would love a recap. On
Yeah, I'll fully give a
We'll
recap.
have more fun than you think. My brother had a zombie wedding the last weekend at Heritage Square. It was on Halloween.
Awesome. But yeah, Friday the 13th at the Stanley at a horror-themed wedding, I think is going to be an awesome time.
Wild.
Yeah, that's me recently.
Okay. Well, yeah, I see you're sitting here, Brad. How are you?
Yeah, they swapped me out. I'm very well. How about yourself?
Great. I'm doing good, man.
Good.
So, do you have some recent shows that you saw, or some upcoming shows you're excited about that you want to talk about?
Well, I also went to the first night of the String Cheese Run at Mission, and thought that the playing was really good. My highlight, obviously, I think a lot of people really enjoyed the String Dusters sit-in, which was Pandolfi and Andy Hall.
Very cool. You had a couple of the local guys here.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
So that went really well.
You're a big Cheese fan, right?
I've seen them more than 100 times.
I've
so
seen
that's,
you seeing them a bunch of times.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Yeah, for sure. I don't see them as much lately because I've got children, and
Cheese is for the kids, though, bud. I mean, when they get old enough, you're gonna have to start taking your kids on tour.
This is fair.
Cheese is for the kids.
But yeah, so that was pretty much it as far as big shows that I've seen recently. But I have checked out albums.
Did I? Yeah, we can do that for sure. Did I hear you say that you had some critical feedback on the Cheese, or and I don't mean to put you on the spot.
No, it's all right.
We're gonna talk about the shows.
Sure. My only criticism, I guess, is second set, first night. They kind of tried to do this retrospective set of their career. And so everything segued from song to song, and I think that sometimes that made things a little bit forced, which I think they would have been better served to just let things kind of transition naturally instead of kind of forcing it to all.
Do you know what that specifically? Well, I guess that was on night 2 when they played the whole. They did a more storytellers type thing on night 2, which was actually where they played a demo tape, their original demo tape, song for song, and that was the story.
You didn't realize that?
I didn't go to the second night.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah, so we're talking about something different. They started to do that like on night 1, but basically when they did that Roots Run Deep tour last year was when they should have done that. When they were playing like the Eldo and all these tiny little rooms. When they played 3 nights at the Fox, which I was lucky enough to be on the Nugs crew for that. Like,
awesome.
Those were the nights that they should have done like the storytellers thing, right?
Sure.
So do you think that took away from it a little bit, or?
I just thought it felt a little bit like they were trying to force it together. That's all.
I appreciate, and the reason I kind of put you on the spot for this is just because I appreciate your constructive criticism. You always give great feedback, and it's never, you know, you hear such harsh criticism of bands and whatnot, and I always feel like you have backup on everything you have to say when it comes to your criticism, and I appreciate that.
I appreciate the compliment. I try not to talk smack.
Appreciate you appreciating it. Were you at the shows, Doug?
I was
come on.
at.
This is Doug. Doug's actually going to be our guest today. One of our guests, one of the Music Marauders contributors. But yeah, where you at? Go ahead.
I was at both the Mission shows. I thought they were really good, especially after being at the Chicago shows, shooting for them a couple weeks prior.
You were shooting for the band?
Yeah.
Cool.
And basically, they just had a totally different energy at the Mission.
Mm-hmm.
They seemed to be really having fun on stage.
That's at how were the Chicago shows? Were they fun
The
as well?
Chicago shows were really good. I mean, the room was spectacular. It's obviously a nice old theater.
What room was that? I'm sorry.
The
Auditorium or theater?
auditorium theater.
Okay.
Great room.
It was beautiful. I think I took more shots of the room than I did of the band.
I love that though. I love getting some of the shots of the environment and seeing that. As somebody who I wasn't at the shows, so not only just seeing close-ups of Kang, but to see some shots around the room,
right.
it makes you feel kind of like you're there. So that's kind of cool. But, so the Mission shows were really good then.
Yeah,
you see a ton
absolutely.
of cheese. That's why I wanted to
Yeah.
call you up.
Just been over 100 shows. Just hit 100 shows this year, so
Wow.
seen a lot of cheese. I thought, yeah, the Mission shows. Of all the shows I've seen this year, I think they've done some really cool stuff.
Mhm.
Playing with like Del McCoury and Keller sets and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Mission shows just felt really special.
Cool. Wonderful.
Just a whole different energy.
I'll have you back up. We'll have you back up, and I'll dive into kind of how you got it started shooting with cheese and all that stuff here in a little bit. I want to jump back to you and kind of talk about album reviews because you've been listening to a couple new albums, and actually recently you've been doing a bunch of our album reviews, as has Kevin. And I end up reading your reviews and then have to go listen to the album almost immediately.
That's great
so
to
thank
hear.
you.
Yeah,
thank
for
you.
sure, for sure.
So what have you been listening to? What do you got?
The two things that I've been focusing on, one is this guy, Neil Francis. If anybody out there has not heard of Neil Francis, which I just heard of him 2 weeks ago for the first time, but he has taken over my playlist. He is absolutely extraordinary. He's from Chicago. He's kind of got some links to the Denver music scene a little bit in that his former band was called The Herd, and that featured Paris that joined the Motet. And so when they split ways, Neil Francis went solo, and his new album, Changes, is absolutely amazing. Very much like a Little Feat, kind of the band, but Alan Toussaint and the Meters.
Wow.
And I mean, just this extraordinary, almost like Mississippi funk, because it goes from their Chicago roots down to New Orleans.
Wow.
And it's just this extraordinary, diverse, vintage tapestry of just everything that you would hear in the 70s. It's just sunshine and like cool studios and
great.
swimming pools, and it's,
that's great.
it's awesome.
I think I saw that in my inbox last night.
Yes,
So
I just sent it over.
Yeah, for those who are watching live, that'll be probably Monday. We'll lead off with that. For those on the podcast, it will be up on Music Marauders Live, and it should have the embedded link for the album, so you can listen to it there as well.
Superb.
Is there any other albums right now? Or?
The other one just got released a couple days ago, which is Beck's new album. As far as I understand, Pharrell had a big hand in producing it, and it's really interesting. It's kind of what you would expect from a Beck release that has Pharrell's influence, in that it has some hip hop, has a little bit more like glitch hop, trappy kind of beats in it.
Really?
Not so much as the style, but as rhythmically.
Mm-hmm.
So he's taking elements of hip hop, but he's blending them with those super saturated kind of reverb on his vocals that he's kind of known for, and he's really got a signature Beck kind of vocal sound. So it's hinged on that, but it has all these weird hip hop kind of corners. So I've just listened to that twice. I'm going to be exploring that and writing a review about that when I get a little more time to dig into it.
As for somebody who isn't super familiar with Beck and isn't necessarily a fan, I don't dislike Beck by any means. But why do people value Beck so much? Why is it that that he's put up on such a high pedestal? Because I feel like he is.
Sure. I think for me, he's somebody that I had a moderate respect for in the 90s. It looks like Ryan has an opinion on this too.
Hey, Ryan.
But in the 90s, I heard Loser and kind of just lumped him in with grunge, and then kind of dismissed him. And I was on a road trip with my buddy Jonathan Heller, and he was like, "Have you ever heard Midnight Vultures?" And he played that album for me, and I just could not believe the way he has picked little nuances out of the musical catalog of history, and it's like you've heard people collaborate or combine different musical ideas before, but he's picking such unique and individually weird concepts to blend together.
Yeah, he's an incredibly unique talent,
right?
And I think the fact that he's not worried about that kind of experimentation and just kind of rolls with it speaks to that talent.
Are you a fan?
I like him. Yeah, I was kind of I liked him when I was younger too. It's a similar story, and then it was it was funny. I kind of forgot about him for until recently.
There's been kind of a reinsurgence.
Well,
he never went anywhere. The term prolific musical genius comes to mind. I mean, Jesus Christ, we're talking about Beck. The guy's catalog is
start at Midnight Vultures.
Incredible.
Yeah, Midnight Vultures. Just listen to Midnight Vultures.
Silly,
I
really.
tried to find a copy of that on vinyl for my girlfriend's birthday, and they were all about $300 a pop. So I did not get her that. Yeah,
it's incredible. Though.
But yeah, I'm still not totally. I'm not unconvinced that it's a Flight of the Conchords album.
It is definitely absurd.
Very similar. There's
definitely
some,
absurd.
But yeah, I like the guy. He's super talented.
Yeah, and it sounds like it's going to be a good release from what I've heard briefly.
Yeah,
wonderful. I'm looking forward to your review of it, your feedback on it.
I'll get it to you as soon as I can.
Why do I have fish in my notes?
Fish News.
Fish news.
Yeah, that'd be recent shows.
So
they're on tour right now.
Yeah.
So is Panic.
who's been watching the shows or can speak to that? Kevin, do you want to be a part of this? Nick, have you been watching?
Switch me seats though.
Walleye.
These are all my things.
We're going to discuss walleye and
That's my
bass and
pen.
trout and salmon right now.
Don't forget about them Northerns.
Speaking of salmon. Okay, let's see here. I'm going to get this shared. All right. So fish news, is that what this is? Or this is recent shows?
I think there should be like a musical lead into this.
You want to sing a fish song a cappella to go?
No, well,
you guys want to do Haley's Comet, just the two of you to start?
Oh, God. he's thinking about it.
Ryan's taking the lead.
Yeah, I mean, dude, again, another fall tour where Fish just goes in and blows it out of the water. I mean, this is the stuff that people get upset about on summer tour. They're like, why can't Fish just do this every night? Well, apparently they actually can do this every night, and they will if you go see them on the East Coast in a room that holds a few thousand people. I don't know. They've just been having a lot of fun, it looks like, on the tour. I've been watching the streams. I'm going to catch the next 2 nights of the streams, and I watched... listened to the Met, and then obviously, which was broadcast on all Sirius FM radios. In fact, if you just had the device, it would have played through for you.
Oh, interesting.
So they kind of sent that out as a little Christmas present to everybody.
Did they play Game Range?
No. But they did play a lot of fun stuff. We can get specific here in a second if you like.
And they are doing some interesting things in that it's an 8-show tour. We're 6 shows in. They haven't repeated a song yet. So,
which is not uncommon for them now in a post-Baker's Dozen world where you know that they can dig deep in that catalog and pull out some bust-outs and really fill in some gaps if they had any. Obviously, people that did the whole run were rewarded on this one. Like I said, just 2 nights left in Charleston, tonight and tomorrow night to wrap it all up. I've got some friends out there, and
Will
like
the
I said,
last song be a repeat?
that would, I don't know, maybe the last song will be, have they played Fluffhead yet?
I think it'd be awesome.
Last song, Fluffhead, calling it now. Anyway, so they were, for the mat, they were like weaving in and out tweezers and doing a lot of fun stuff that way. And just kind of like going back to some of their roots and playing some sort of, just having fun with it, I think, is really the key element that's going through all of this. I mean, have you caught, what streams have you caught?
I've watched and listened to pretty much everything of this tour. Kevin and I were joking around before because the first show of the tour, they were using the THX Dolby Sound test before every song, and Trey was saying thank you after every song, just messing with people and doing exactly what you're saying, having a lot of fun.
Well, on the like at Peterson in Pittsburgh, which was probably the easiest ticket on the tour, that was the one that didn't sell out the longest, I guess. So you could have gotten it up until a few weeks ago. Just bought it on Ticketmaster for Face. They did the classic "Hold Your Head Up" into Terrapin, "Hold Your Head Up" encore with Fishman on vacuum.
Really good show,
and yeah, great show, solid show. And why do they always bring it when they play in Pittsburgh? I don't know. They always do. But that's a theme. So take note, fans. But that Terrapin was a 436 show bust out or something like that. It's pretty crazy. Yeah. So
Here we go. I'm over here shuffling papers. We just lost everybody who was watching. Just went down to 0.
Okay.
Just kidding.
So we'll just wrap it up. But yeah. Charleston had some bust outs and last night, and they're having fun. They're doing it. They're doing the damn thing, and it's good to see Fish doing it. It's good to see Trey happy and
It's so great to see them not repeating songs too. That's such a cool thing. A lot of people don't realize that, and in fact, my wife is one of those people who was like, "Why would you go see a band multiple times in a row if they're just going to play the same show?" Coming from a background of, say, seeing pop music or radio-friendly music, that's often the case. Where you go see a band, and every night, same set list, same order. And so it's really cool to see Fish really going for it. They've got a diverse catalog. Why not tap into it?
Hundreds and hundreds of songs.
Yep. But if they played your favorite song in a previous city, then you just know you're not going to get it. You can fuck off with that.
Right.
Cool. Is that are we done with Fish?
We're good.
Cool. Ryan literally left the room for that.
I don't know why he hates Fish so much.
I don't think he hates fish. I just don't think he enjoys them like you guys do.
He's just upset that you can't get good walleye in Colorado.
He's more of a salmon fan. Okay, so we're looking at a 2019 recap and 2020 predictions. I think this is just kind of generally speaking as far as some of the bands that have stuck out to us and some of the bands that we think are going to be doing big things upcoming. Welcome, Kevin.
How are you guys?
How are you?
Good.
Awesome.
How was your Thanksgiving?
Yeah.
What do you want me to say? For those who can't see the visual, I just pointed at my stomach.
I'm still sweating out the tryptophan. So.
We're just sitting here sweating a week and a half later. How was yours?
It was good.
Gluten-free?
It was gluten-free. My mom came out for a week.
Mine was too.
It was
100% gluten-free.
No shit.
And dairy-free.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
Your mom was, or the...
No, my wife is a celiac, so.
Gotcha. Anyways.
Allergic to wheat. Yep.
All right, so yeah, top bands of 2019. I think the 3 that I'm going to call out, I think, are pretty obvious. Billy Strings, that we've talked about numerous times. Yeah.
Everybody loves him now.
He's a big fan.
Have you ever heard anybody say, Billy Strings?
No, because they'd probably be slapped immediately.
One person.
Yeah.
I've seen it.
You've seen it?
They got called out.
You're called out. You're wrong. You're just wrong.
I'd throw Goose on there as well. I think they literally have meteorically risen through the jam band
Still
scene.
haven't heard this
I
band.
shot them for the first time on Thursday.
Okay, so how'd it go?
You didn't mention that. How did
Well,
it
that's because I was waiting for this.
Perfect. What do you got?
Yeah.
Well, I will say this. So Amorphic opened up. Those are some local hometown boys. So guys have come a long way. So just honorable mention to the Amorphic opening set. They've gotten a lot tighter in the last year and a half, and it's been fun to see those guys develop. Moving on, Goose. You know what? what everybody's been talking about Goose. In fact, I got
Hype.
I got kind of reamed by posting one Goose photo on Reddit, and everybody's like, "Oh my God, I thought we were gonna go a whole day without a Goose post," and I was like, "I didn't know. I'm sorry."
So they're the Spafford of 2019.
Yeah, they've definitely gotten a lot of love and a lot of praise online, but not unjustly so, because musically speaking, they are interesting. There's been a thing that I have said, and other people have maybe heard this or expressed this in other ways, but there's only so many jams, right? So when you go see a jam band, you're like, you kind of know what to expect. Well, they've kind of turned some of that on its head, and they're still, maintaining some of those jam tenets that we all know and love, like really interesting covers and super deep, thick type 2 sort of jamming, and they're super young.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree with what you said about Spafford. I think Spafford, Aqueous, Dopapod, Pigeons, Twiddle, you can kind of all put them together and they're the same band.
I was calling them new wave jam 2.0, Neo Jam, but I don't know.
Spafford
Spafford
literally was the Goose of last year, and they have, I don't want to say they've fallen off, but they have kind of gone in the basement, maybe making new music, who knows, and Goose has taken kind of the reins and has grown hugely. Eminence Ensemble would be another great local band that's kind of got that same sound.
Those guys are doing big things.
Yeah, they open for Humphreys. They're touring nationally. Our good buddy Taylor runs sound for them. So
Taylor Hines, one of my favorite people and one of the best audio engineers out there.
Truly, and he actually just did the Drunken Hearts tour.
Yeah, so maybe if and when those guys come in.
Yeah, you never know. Andrew is. He did join the stream,
Taylor
so Andrew is on watching the stream right now.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Instead of being here.
I would also say the third band I want to call out, and we've already talked about it, is I think Fish truly has even taken their fan base to a whole nother level. So I think we'll just leave it there.
It's the year of the fish again.
It truly is. I think they're more popular than they have ever have been. Yeah. And I think the predictions for 2020 will be there will be a new Fish album, and they will have a festival that makes up for Curveball.
And they will have a ridiculous event in
It'll be called
Colorado
Change Up?
to replace Dix. But that's
what you're saying. Yeah, so that's what you're saying.
that's what I heard from. I don't have a lot of insiders, but I do know people that know a few people.
What did you say?
I heard that Fish is not doing a traditional Dix run next year, and that time will tell because it's just a rumor at this point. But I heard they were going to do more of a festival.
We actually
type
came
thing
back to it.
at Dix,
There's a segue.
possibly as with additional bands and whatnot.
So they're going to do a thing at Dick's and just call it a festival?
Possibly. You can camp there.
I also
As long as you don't get plague dogs.
We'll get off of Fish real quick. Yeah. Other thing I want to talk about is Phil Lesh is going to be making a comeback. He's been sick and out of touring all of 2019. He will be coming back 80 years old in 2020. He has Madison Square Garden already booked. You don't seem excited.
I don't care. I genuinely don't care. I don't care. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I'm adjusting.
I just don't give a fuck. I do not care about Phil Lesh.
Really?
I don't. I just don't care.
He's like the best that's alive.
Anyway, so moving along.
Sorry.
Have you heard?
Another thing that I'm excited about is Brooklyn Bowl is going to be opening up a Chicago venue. So that's another expansion for the Brooklyn Bowl.
Great music market.
Yeah,
great music market.
Incredible. And the Brooklyn Bowl franchise is a pretty epic concept if you have not been to one. So like
that'll be
bowling,
the
fried
third,
chicken.
right? Now they won in Vegas.
They won in Vegas. They've won in Brooklyn, obviously. So I think it would be their third. Yeah.
Okay.
So that'd be great.
Well,
things.
Denver's obviously next on that route. They're just franchising.
I mean, I'm surprised that I'm guessing they've looked at Denver already.
Yeah, well, there's a pretty big dog in town. So
Yeah. For bowling?
For booking, not for bowling.
Well, now that said, didn't that dog have some involvement in some of the Brooklyn Bowl booking and some of that stuff? I think there was some
do they book?
friendly play.
Handshaking.
Handshake. I don't know. I'm trying to think of a kind way of saying this. I think that anyways, you're not wrong in saying like, is there room for another independent venue in this market?
Sure. I mean, I think that the size matters as far as
size does matter, Nick.
What you're trying to put into the Denver market right now. Obviously, lots of change. We talked about Ophelia's getting bought out by Live Nation, so smaller.
Not bought out by Live Nation.
Not bought out. I'm sorry. Being booked
back
by Live Nation. Sorry,
yeah,
Ophelia's.
I believe Live
booked.
Nation has a non-exclusive booking.
We will be talking about that in the news coming up.
Cool.
Actually,
I'll leave that.
Yeah. And then last thing I want to bring up, and then whatever is the festival scene is dying off. I think, a recap of 2019, and we will actually get into festival lineups later. But Justin, I send you text messages in Facebook when I see a festival dying.
It's like twice a morning.
It's pretty insane.
It's fucking crazy.
And most of them are kind of the niche, small festivals that focus on one genre. And now you see these larger festivals kind of having to survive, bringing in EDM artists, bringing in metal artists. I think who knows what's going to happen in 2020.
So it's over.
I don't know if it's
I'm
over.
making a movie about this right now.
About the idea of festivals dying.
Well, it's an underlying theme in which we discuss the oversaturation of the festival market, because now it's not just about a good lineup. It's about location and making it a boutique experience and all.
And whether Fish is on tour or not.
And what's the VIP package look like? And is one of the members of Fish on the fucking bill? You know, and all that
Are there
shit.
flush toilets?
Yeah, I mean,
can I get a yurt?
I think in the post-Fire Festival era, we really have to take a strong and hard look at the types of events that are being offered up.
Did you ever get your Firefest Cabana refund?
No, honestly, I'm still waiting. I am part of a class action lawsuit, so
Stand by, here it's coming
well,
down the
I heard
pipeline.
that they're going to work it all out.
Well, or there's always, I think you can go to the second Firefest instead of getting the refund as long as you sign
I
off.
did
that
sign
you
up for
won't-
that option.
So that you won't sue them.
Already.
I won't be a part of the class action. I'll come to number 2.
Guys, your Ja Rule.
As long as Ja Rule is there.
I was promised
Announced Denver dates.
Denver Firefest.
Oh, wow.
Oh, Ja Rule did?
Yeah.
Great. I was promised a yurt with Ja Rule in it. So
That was actually, I can't believe that was a line item you could just buy. I just was like, okay,
how many Ja Rules are there?
there's several. He stays a couple nights.
Videos are insane.
So in addition to 2019 and then 2020 upcoming, were there any surprises for anybody? Were there any bands that made you just kind of step back and say, wow, this is happening and this is way ahead of its time, or holy shit, this
I'd like to mention one that I had the pleasure of shooting at E-Town on
no more Fish content.
December 3rd. No.
Okay, go ahead.
But I will say Graham Lesh is involved, so stay tuned. Okay. There's a band called the Capitol Sunrays, and for those that don't know, because they've only played like 11 shows, they played in E-Town and then they played Ophelia's the next night. But anyway, it's kind of a new age super group, kind of a family band based around the Birds of Chicago, which is a husband and wife duo. They brought their brother in on keyboards, and then they have Luther Dickinson on guitar, Amy Levon Helm's daughter, on drums and vocals, and then they have Graham Lesh on bass, which is kind of an ironic place to see him playing 4-string bass. So anyway, they played a really cool show at E-Town, so I'd invite you guys all to check them out. Capitol Sunrays, kind of a new band, kind of a new endeavor, but I would look to see more from them. And then also, as we talked about last time, the High Hawks, a lot of fun. Just all these people collaborating and getting together, I think, was what got me excited about Jam in the first place.
Same here, and what's great about that too is that it's become viable.
Yeah.
Like in the past, it was always those, there's a snowstorm in Denver and all these people are stuck there, so there's 50 people at a hole in the wall called Coyotes.
Yeah.
And now it's like you can market this stuff, and these guys are coming and they're playing sizable rooms, and it's viable, and it's for me too one of the reasons I got involved in this scene.
Sure.
It's really
I
great.
will
collaboration.
ask, though, do artists have to make these super groups now because they're not making enough money based on their own tours?
That's part of it.
I don't even know. I don't know.
Or is it just because they want to? Does
I had a
Vince Herman really
conversation-
want to play with Tim Carbone?
Yes.
And, is that
Yes.
how?
I think that when you're
a
talking
pleasure
about,
project, I think.
especially the two that I mentioned,
Yeah.
okay, this Capitol Sunrays project and then the High Hawks, and I could certainly come up with a few more if I had a minute to think about it. There are lots of bands that choose. Yeah, the Bluegrass Generals. They choose their it's like choosing your coworkers when you're the boss,
fun.
It's like,
It's fun.
I want to see what I can do with Tim Carbone on film.
Well, that's always the big thing about jam crews and these festivals that have these super jams. Justin used to
Everyone
throw
Orchestra
these
comes
super
to mind,
jams. It's
obviously.
cool. Everyone Orchestra is a very.
I got a cool super jam coming up, which I can't announce today, but I will.
Well, then fuck you.
No,
Jesus
but
Christ.
what I will say about that though is I was talking to Andy Thorne the other day, and he was kind of alluding to that we're trying to figure out how to make it work because everybody's got radius clauses with their main bands and music festivals and everything they're playing. So he's trying to find these gaps and find markets where you're avoiding these radius clauses. And Andy Thorne and I were working really hard to make this work, and it did not look good. It didn't look like it was going to work, and he alluded to the fact that it was because they enjoy doing this stuff so much that we were going to try really hard and make sure that we were able to make it work. And we aced it.
Well, that's
So-
why you have bands that are like Yonder had their alter ego, the Cosmic Bowling League, and I think every band has some sort of 9 Pound Hammer was another one for that was an actual band, wasn't it?
I know what you're talking about.
But you know what I mean? Like they'll come up with an alter ego for them so they don't violate radius clauses, so they can, and it's really fan based love, and that's the type.
So as a promoter, if you're going to be
Haha the Moose, thank you.
if you're going to be paying,
that's a whole. They're a big waste of time. That's a big. I don't even know. The fact that you brought that up is a huge waste of time. Oh my god! He said "haha the Moose."
It's got to be like Mo related
That was
or
just a
something
waste
that
of
we have
time.
just no clue about.
For anybody that doesn't know, don't. Jesus, don't waste your time.
Stop.
Anyway, sorry.
I don't even know what I was going to say. Let's just.
No, I will say the thing that I'm excited about, or 2019, I think the rise of badass new outdoor venues in Colorado is incredible. The Dillon Amphitheater, Vail Amphitheater are now booking things that we truly like to go see. And at the Stanley Hotel,
There's a place called Everland that's popping up. Have you guys heard about this? This this property that's Burning Man related. Kind of thing. Yep.
I heard about it. It's like on 300 acres or something. Like, it's huge.
You never know. But I think the idea of the new venues, like we just talked about it, you can't just have a show anymore. It's got to be about the experience. I mean, seeing Trey Band at Vail Amphitheater was magical this past year. I've heard same things about String Cheese at Dillon Amphitheater. It's just an experience you don't get.
It's not like they're new venues either. That's the funny thing about it.
They've just kind of revamped them and they've rebooked them.
But because the demand for these sort of experiences is increasing, these venues that might not be new, they're expanding their catalog. Their bands are opening up doors to cool experiences.
Colorado has no shortage of beauutiful backdrops.
No, it's incredible.
Even seeing a show in Commerce City, you're like, well, it's pretty over there.
On the other side of those smokestacks.
It's over there.
Beautiful.
I heard Michael Ferrante at Mile High Fest one time say, "This is the most beautiful sunset I've ever seen." He's playing in fucking Commerce City. I'm like, you gotta move a few miles that way.
But yeah, man. Well, thank you. I'll be back later for the news.
We'll wait
Thanks,
here.
Kevin.
Yeah.
Cool.
Thanks, buddy. Fun stuff.
Do you want to? Should we bring Doug up?
Yeah, let's get Doug. Is definitely wants to get the hell out of here. He's like, what is going on?
He's complained multiple times about having to wake up for this. So, thanks for being awake at noon, it looks like. Yeah, appreciate you.
Beautiful man. You are.
Feel honored.
Yeah. Yeah, so we're going to be doing a thing where we feature a different Music Marauders contributor every podcast until we run out of contributors, until everybody quits, one or the other.
Or we run out of useful people.
Yeah, or just people that we don't really
Thank
want
you so
to
much.
feature. No, I'm just kidding. But speaking of people that we don't want to feature, here's one that we do want to feature. Doug Fondriest. How are you, Doug?
I'm good.
Good. I'm glad to hear that, buddy. Thank you for joining us. How did you get started with photography?
My dad was a photographer, so he always had photo stuff lying around the house, and happened to hear about a gig opening up at the first Electric Forest. So I kind of
Was that 2010?
something like
Yeah.
2011.
Okay.
And so I kind of just told the contact that I had photo experience, which I definitely didn't, but
That's how you do it.
borrowed my dad's camera and went to the festival and kind of got opened up to this whole world of music photography that I had never...
Has your dad been pretty supportive, or did you steal his camera?
Oh, absolutely. He definitely was supportive. I mean, we didn't have too many things that we, other than like, watch movies and eat, we never had too many activities that we related to. So photography has definitely brought us closer. He's been super supportive.
That's great.
Did you guys go out and shoot together ever?
Yeah, we'll do some nature photography. He'll come out to Colorado, and
Where's he live?
he lives in the Chicago area.
And that's where
Drag
you're
him
from.
into a pit sometime.
Has he ever shot live concert experiences?
I don't believe he's ever shot live concert.
You get a lot of +1s. Maybe we can slide him in.
Right, I've always thought about it,
That'd be
but
really cool to be.
Charlie shot his
first.
first pit at Arise, Main Squeeze. True story. I have photos.
Isn't your kid like 2?
He's 3.
Was he using our photo pass? No, don't worry. That's Music Marauders
He's
contributor.
Music Marauders
He's
right
good.
there. He's good.
that'd probably get more publicity than any 3-year-old concert photographer.
Better shots than his dad.
First pit.
So
That's definitely true.
they're not blurry. They're artistic.
Doug, you kind of start like a lot of people start, finding a different outlets to kind of share your work with, and then beyond that, you've found a lot of professional work, working on the crew for summer camp music festivals where we got to spend some time together, and obviously working your work with Cheese and a lot of other bands. Talk to me about how you developed your career over time.
Is this a career? Let's start there.
I would hope.
Is this something you want to do ongoing?
It's definitely tough out there finding people who want to pay.
Sure.
But I'd say the only thing harder than being an artist is being an artist who works for artists,
That is very fair. I never actually thought
It's a double,
Wow.
But
Just blew everyone's mind.
Yeah, everybody's just like, oh yeah, that's a good point. Yikes. So you put your eggs in that basket.
yeah,
How's that working out for you?
Seems to be good though. I mean,
yeah,
covering a lot of stuff.
Working
pretty
for one of
much
your favorite
started
bands.
with MusicMarauders and, just expanded my
We had a conversation, if I remember
contacts through
correctly.
there.
I think we had a conversation at Red Rocks in the lot. We were hanging out, and I think you came up and we were talking about getting photo passes to shows or something. And I remember seeing your point and click, shoot shots, and they were awesome. You were doing great work early on, and so it was just like natural to see you, get some interchangeable lenses and get out there. You're definitely one of our top photographers. Let's take a second and appreciate that.
Well, and just to see it develop too, because I think the way that you've differentiated is in your post processing and a lot of the work that you do on your photos after they're shot. You have a really good eye for framing, and you're not afraid to just. I just see you. I'm done. Like I'm in the like bro 30, like drinking a beer,
Trying to
like
get a
watching
corn
the
dog.
show, trying to get a corn dog. I look over and like Doug's like hoofing a tripod up to the 50th.
Did you say huffing?
Hoofing.
Oh.
He's over there boofing. No,
Boofing
he's
a
over there
tripod.
huffing. No, he's over there hoofing a tripod up to the 50th row so we can go get some lockdown shots. So it's pretty interesting to see your dedication. Hopefully be pay off for you. If it's not monetarily now, it's certainly artistically.
You got to
paying
feel
off.
good about it, especially you're a big Cheese fan.
Oh,
and to
fuck
be
yeah.
shooting for the band has got to be a very cool thing.
It was kind of what I wanted to do when I
happened
started
quickly,
out.
man. That escalated really
And
quickly.
yeah, I need to set bigger dreams, I guess. For myself.
And then shooting for Cheese.
I love it. It's like the greatest thing that's ever happened. But
Yeah.
sure,
I hear you though. I hear what you're saying, and
same way.
you want more to set, to achieve too. You want to
Yeah.
set yourself up to. Well, how did you get involved with Cheese?
Element Music Festival.
Element Music Festival.
What is that?
All right.
Element Music Festival is and was a festival that
Still happening.
is still happening and took place up in British Columbia, Canada, at a place called Snug Lake Amphitheater. And I was brought in early on as one of the promoters, and it was and is still one of the greatest pleasures of my life to have worked on that event. And it meant a lot to me to have you there capturing that perspective. Just briefly, I want to give a shout out to all of the Canadians up in British Columbia, some of my best friends.
All of them.
But all of them.
All of the Canadians.
But specifically, the hosers that know who this is for. The scene up there is so beautiful, and what Rob and his team have done at Snug Lake was and is magical. And so you attended the first Element, or the second. It was their second Element. It was the first year they went big. We went with 3 nights of string cheese.
How did you pull that
Garage
off?
Mahal.
I still don't know.
So Rob and Keither, another gentleman who was doing stuff up there, they had been seeing Cheese since like 95, 96, 97, like really early on.
Sure.
And
So
they had a relationship with them, and I think that Cheese was looking at it as a possible new, and this was just rumors, possible new like Hornings type scenario.
Mm-hmm.
And what happened that year that was kind of crazy was there were huge forest fires in the region. So it was at the festival, you could hardly see the sun rise. I mean, it was as if you were in like a hot boxed car at all times. It was crazy. But one of the most beautiful things that I've ever been a part of. And so when you were up there, you were shooting for MusicMarauders and for Element Music Festival. And did you meet some of the team, or did they end up using some of your shots?
You had getting me into contact with Dave Hearn, who does publicity for the string cheese incident.
Yep.
They obviously wanted content which was hard to get out because there was, really no signal, no
We
internet.
were in the Canadian wilderness, the
Yeah.
British Columbia interior. It was 3.5 hours, 4 hours east of Vancouver. So yeah, there was very spotty internet.
Right, no streams for the fans, nothing like that.
But if you were there,
Yeah.
The
That was a
turnout
very
was pretty.
I think there's probably, and so because of the chaos of the smoke and it being like a first big festival for our team, the ticket counts were scattered. It was chaos, and maybe sometime I'll
I
write
think
about
for
this.
anybody that made it to that festival,
about 1,000 people.
was pretty. It was like by cheese standards, you're just very rarely gonna experience them in a way.
We put them down at this like dude ranch just up the way, and the fans that were there had this very just magical experience, and it felt like one of those old cheese experiences that I always assumed, that's how it felt like.
Cool.
Anyways, very cool event, and so through that you posted some updates for them or sent them some photos, and did that take off from there?
And then, just doing more stuff through MusicMarauders and hooking them up with, a couple photos from each show, just
Cool.
developing the relationship. And
How did you get involved with summer camp?
summer camp was through you. I got
You just wanted him to say that?
I don't know if I actually knew that.
What wonderfully amazing person hooked you up with summer camp?
I don't know if I
What
actually maybe
saint?
knew that, but I might have given you an email.
I mean, you hooked me up with some contacts, but he given me some contacts and just asking other photographers in the scene. I mean, I went to summer camp as a kid growing up. It was one of the festivals I tried to make it to every year growing up in Illinois.
Midwest Wook Central.
It's actually, they're coming into their 20th year, and in this, as we were talking with Kevin a little bit earlier about this sort of uncertain time in the life of festivals. I mean, you have well-established events that have been around for 10, 15 years that are just not coming back, and this has been a trend that we've seen, but other festivals have sustained your Bonnaroos, your summer camps, and your Coachellas and whatnot. And so it's interesting to see how that festival's developed. But I also, one of the things that I really enjoy about summer camp is they don't really skimp on talent when it comes to documenting the event. So you had a pretty amazing team that included Keith Greiner, Aaron Bradley, Tara Garcer, who I saw at Goose the other night, and then obviously yourself. And then Jay Blakesburg leading the video team. I mean, and not to mention the sort of, I would call more grassroots content developed by the camp counselors. They just seem to want to share that event in a way that makes people feel involved.
If you
and care
don't
about
share it, if you're not out, and this is something I live by as far as my work in the scene, if you're not publicizing the event, and if you're not really capturing pretty much everything you can be capturing, did it even happen? Does it even matter? As weird as that sounds, I mean, people are looking.
Day where it's all about, social media accounts.
And those legendary stories about even like Element Music Festival, we couldn't really stream live. There was a limited amount of stuff. We did the best we could with putting out what we could, but if you weren't there, it's just like a legendary story.
Yeah.
And how far does that go? I don't know.
It depends. In this day and
So
age.
good for summer camp, though. For really trying to, for taking that seriously and bringing.
And I think that's something that they've done for a long time. I mean, I've been
Sure.
a camp counselor since 2011. So
And obviously, the longer these festivals go, the more they have the ability to focus on some of that stuff after they've really tightened up everything else.
Absolutely.
But it definitely fluctuates, at summer camp. Definitely, the turnouts.
Last year was
who
a tough year,
headlines.
for sure.
Absolutely.
I think that they were.
Was it
I
a
don't.
tough
I don't
year?
have any sort of inside knowledge, so I'm not saying anything that I'm not. I'm sort of speculating a little bit here, but I'll say I think they may have been holding back a little bit for year 20. I think they're going to go huge this. I think the reason why we haven't seen summer camps line up this year so far right yet is because it's going to blow people's minds. And I
Oysterhead?
I think Oysterhead's going to be on it just because of the relationship that both Les Claypool and Trey Anastasio have with that festival.
Speaking of which, how about that Peach Fest announcement?
It's a solid lineup.
We'll get into
Always
that.
a solid
Yeah, we'll get into
lineup,
that. Wow. Just a couple more questions for you, Doug. What are your favorite aspects of shooting? What do you enjoy most about doing this? Besides the finger gloving with the.
I mean, learning how to finger glove is obviously my true passion.
true passion.
But I mean, I love quote unquote wook, as they would say.
Not
You know, I don't have as much money to afford live music as I would like to.
Which is
and-
how MusicMarauders got started.
Right, exactly. You know,
yeah.
you get into shows and you get to see definitely more live music than I could see. You know, over 100 shows a year. Feels good.
You know, it's one of those things where I think I think that was where a lot of us started. But I mean, honestly, you know, you start by maybe journaling or taking some photos or writing about it, and then eventually you figure out, hey, I could maybe do even more of these shows, you know, and then that becomes a drive as well. So it's been fun to watch all of your stuff grow, and certainly your talent
Get him in
is
a sec.
immense in the scene, and we appreciate all that you bring to it. So thank you for that.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Did you have any additional questions for Doug while we have him?
I just would like to talk gear specifically. I mean, obviously you shoot full frame real quick. We'll nerd out for just 1 second.
Yeah, I'll be over here if you need me.
Shoot me. Tell me what body you're shooting on and what lenses you like.
My main body would be a Canon 1DX Mark II, which is the beast of the Canon flagship. Yeah, the beast basically. I love that camera. I don't see myself ever switching. I don't know. Everyone seems to be going to, you know, mirrorless or Sony. But I really enjoy it. I mean, it's built strong. You know, in the concert world, you're gonna get beer spilled on you and
I have a story about that.
people knocking you. I mean, Nancy had somebody hug her and, you know, a lens fall out of her hand.
Yeah,
So-
brand new one. A really good low light one too.
Yeah.
Is that person still a friend?
Yes.
So-
But I had to go out and get a new one.
Yeah, I mean, even when we're shooting at, I'd say probably 50% of the shows at Red Rocks I shot this year, it was raining or downpouring.
Yeah, weather is a huge concern. So you have that weatherproof body, so that helps a lot. And once you get into more professional gear, you'll find that becomes pretty much standard. Although I was shooting a little show at Bianchi's, and somebody spilled a beer on this camera, and I no longer have that focus assist button. You know, so I don't need that really.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could just go in the menu. It's fun. Anyway, so yeah, so that's great. And then give me your top two lenses, and don't say 70 to 200, 2.8.
Well, that would have been my number one, but that's everybody's number one.
So go wider.
Definitely, you know, I'm using the 16 to 35 wide angle to get, you know, most of my big room shots that are, you know,
And you're-
an 8 to 15.
You're finding that's workable for you, like when you're even in a pit at Red Rocks, where maybe you're a little bit removed, or at Mission where it's a little bit taller stage.
I mean, that lens is so, like, crystal clear. You'll find if you have to crop it, you know, it'll still look fantastic, you know. It'll capture something good.
I'd like to talk settings as we move forward, but I think that's really cool, and it's insightful when people like talk about bodies and stuff. I know that when I jumped from, you know, micro four thirds to full frame, I saw a big difference, and it's been a fun journey photography wise. So thank you for sharing that.
Okay, I think we're good, Doug. Thank you so much for coming in. He's getting the candy cane hook. All right, wonderful. For New Year's, there's a whole bunch of really cool stuff coming up. Is there anything specifically that you have your eye set on that you're going to be doing?
Oh, I haven't even thought that far ahead, honestly, about what I personally want to do.
Why are you on this segment?
I don't even know. The one thing that I would do,
3 weeks from now.
I know I'm bad at putting in
He's gonna
press requests, but I get away with a lot of stuff. I would say that I've been looking at that salmon show down at the Mission with Carl D. I think that's going to be pretty magical.
Leftover Salmon. Who are they with again?
They're with Carl Denson, which
Weird.
I actually saw those guys
Very
play
weird.
together at the Chili Pepper and Brew Fest, one of the first trips I ever did with my future wife. We went to Snowmass and saw Carl D sit in with Leftover Salmon, and let me tell you, it's not a bad time at all.
Oh, God, I can't imagine. Last time I saw Carl was Buddy's bachelor party during Jazz Fest in New Orleans. The show started at like 2 in the morning at Tipitina's.
And was he like very late?
I don't honestly remember
And then
much.
he was like 2 hours late after that. Very cool.
Yeah, I don't remember much
Very
that night, to be honest. So
What are you doing for New Year's?
I will still be in Wisconsin,
Very cool.
or on my way back from Wisconsin.
Eating cheese.
Oh yeah, like you mentioned Keither earlier. I will be picking him up some cheese curds to bring back.
It's not like they're that much better because they're from Wisconsin. You can get
They are.
fucking cheese curds anywhere.
They're
Yeah, they're
There's
trash
nothing-
everywhere else.
That makes no sense. The recipe for cheese is the recipe for cheese. What is this elitist? Like,
He's wrong. It's about altitude.
now you're trafficking cheese across state lines, and now we're talking about an international border. I mean,
This
just
is hands
you could
down
probably get him in BC.
Justin Picard's worst take.
Unbelievable.
I got a hot take for you.
All right, I'm gonna bring my blood pressure down.
Go ahead.
I'm looking at Umphreys at the Fillmore. I got a whole list that Kevin wrote out for me of all these different shows, and for me, Umphreys at the Fillmore looks really awesome.
4 nights, and the support for all of those shows is unique and fun. So get out there, go see Cycles, go see all those people. Pimps at Joytime are opening up one night. I mean, it's gonna be fun.
The Drunken Hearts are in Salt Lake City.
Weird openers on that. I'm sorry. That's
Kyle Hollingsworth band.
that's fine. Whatever. What would you say? The Drunken Hearts?
Another hot take from Justin Picard.
Drunken Hearts are in Salt Lake City at the Commonwealth with the Kitchen Dwellers on
the
New Year's Eve.
Dwellers,
Okay.
they've been
Then other shows across the
tearing it up
country. Dead and Company is that Chase Center in San Francisco. Fish at MSG 4 nights. That's 4 too many for Ryan. Les Claypool and Sean Lennon at Bill Graham. Dusters at the National in Richmond, doing 1 night.
Yay!
Okay. Yonder Mountain at Wheeler Opera House in Aspen, Colorado, and Billy Strings at the Intersection in Grand Rapids, Michigan.
And then Trout Steak Revival with Woodbelly
Nice.
at the Aggie. So, for something local, if you're trying not to get out of Fort Collins, go see Trout Steak.
Is that like your backup plan if it dumps snow?
It's a distinct possibility I'll just end up at Trout Steak.
Yeah, I could see that.
Or
for sure.
by the fire with my wife. Jesus, don't go to a show every fucking holiday, you people. Jesus.
I guarantee you're going to be at a show
We'll see. Time will tell.
after saying that.
Time will tell.
You had mentioned something interesting to me the other day, and I just want to briefly discuss it, that there's an increase in winter activity in concerts and festivals and shows and wookery.
Oh yeah, it's just something I've noticed over the last few years. It feels like weather is no longer, temperature is no longer a factor for people wanting to go outdoors and
And in Colorado,
drink beer and listen to music all day. And
the temperature's more mild here. I feel
yeah,
like.
Colorado's a good spot for it because as we've all been to the Midwest and the Great White North, and it's a lot different down here. You can get dumped on, but it's still the weather or the temperature's still going to be livable. You don't have to worry about parts of your face freezing off.
So, so they've almost franchised out that festival, and now you have, Snowdown coming back this year. We talked a little bit about that last time. There's just a lot of winter events, and beyond that, outdoor sort of just one-off shows.
Yeah, it's just nice to see, the mountains being more successfully used for things that aren't just skiing and snowboarding.
I'll even mention, this may not be relevant for any of the actual podcasts, but for people that don't know, Modest Mouse and the Head and Heart are playing free shows up in Vail next weekend. So there's your opportunity to go. So there's all these little concert series. I'll look it up real quick.
Okay.
It's part of their deal, but there's all these free concerts that happen in the mountains at the base of the mountain because the Vail. It's part of Vail Snow Days. I believe Days is spelled with a Z. Very hip. Very sick. So there's all these opportunities to go up to the mountains, maybe ski a little bit during the day, and then go catch a pretty awesome show for free.
This is Justin. You're listening to Music Marauders Live. Up next, the Drunken Hearts. Welcome back to Music Marauders Live, and this is the Drunken Hearts. Do you guys want to start with a song, and then we'll ask you a couple questions?
Sure.
I do.
Yeah.
Play. Play it for us.
Should we?
Dance monkey.
What song are you playing?
This song is called Unrest off of our new album, Wheels of the City.
1, 2, 3.
Just getting up is getting me down. Gotta pull the string and my head unwound. Oh, I might be a king and the king of the clowns. I don't care, I'm gonna leave yesterday's self. All my life's in tune with the chorus removed. I'm gonna wear my words like an old tattoo. Unrest is a state of mind, the world's at your feet. Gonna grab that bull by the horns, boy, and take mighty lead. Oh, unrest is a state of mind, the world's at your feet. It's a long road ahead, boy, and all I want is sleep. Whoa, sleep.
Beautiful. Tell me about the new album.
It was produced by Tim Carbone from Railroad Earth, who actually produced the first album that we did, Live for Today,
Which I
back
love
in
that album.
2012. We recorded it here in Denver, Colorado at Silo Sound with the incredible Todd Dival,
What a great place, man. I've filmed in there before.
and
That's the best. Not far from here.
and sponsored by Comrade Brewing Company. Unofficially, yeah.
Officially unofficial. Hydrated by.
But yeah, we recorded it in 11 days. We recorded one song a day. And pretty much wrote them all on the spot in the same day. I had some rough demos that I had shared with Tim. And then every morning we would come into the studio, we'd have a cup of coffee and kind of circle up with Tim as the conductor in the middle, kind of pinballing around. And if we didn't lay it down that day, for the most part, it probably wasn't going to be on the song. So we did 11 songs in 11 days.
Wow.
That's impressive.
That is impressive.
Yeah.
And it was different. We didn't really know what we were signing up for when we decided that that's what we were going to do. But it was a creative surge, just a giant creativity surge, which was great, very cool.
Has this been your process pretty much ongoing with recording, or is this kind of a whole new approach to it? I'm sorry if you. Okay, it is. Okay. Wow.
Would you say you guys write songs from a collaborative approach? Like, does everybody throw in, or Andrew, do you take a lead on a lot of the songs, or how does that work?
I generally, write the words and have a chord progression or a key and something that I'm feeling. Then I'll bring it to the guys and we'll kind of dissect it and see what works, see what doesn't work. We'll cut some stuff, most likely.
What percentage? I was going to say, what percentage of what you bring to the table is accepted?
I think if I'm bringing it to the band, then I feel pretty confident that it's going to fly.
Sure.
And if not, I wouldn't bring it to the
It's
band.
a very rare thing that we start a song and then scrap it.
Yeah.
We had a song that went through like 7 or 8 iterations over the course of like 2 years before it actually made a final cut.
And it's nothing.
It's nothing like it started.
It has a different name, even.
Yeah.
It started off as Nowhere Road, and now it's Broken Things.
Yeah.
So, that's weird.
That's very weird. You guys just got off the road with Yonder Mountain String Band. How was that experience, and what does that do for a band like you guys?
It was very cool. Obviously, those guys are pioneers of the jam band, jamgrass, the new grass kind of resurgence that's happened in the last 20 years. And they had a huge part. I mean, they really led the way in that whole thing. And while we're not necessarily bluegrass, it was just really great hanging with those guys and talking to them. They've had so many experiences on the road, obviously, and peaks and lows, obviously, that it was just great, like hearing their tales of how it all came together for them. And our transmission blew on night one. Our transmission blew.
On night one?
Actually, it was the night before. Because we're so.
Night zero.
We're so
zero,
good at planning that we gave ourselves an extra day to get there. Thank God.
Thank God.
Yonder has a very specific fan base. How do you feel that you guys were received by their fans, and how was the hang, so to speak?
And was there a good turnout early on when you guys were on stage?
Yeah,
Surprisingly, yeah.
Yeah, pack houses.
It was packed every night.
I feel like
for
they were
our
rounding us
sets.
out early.
Definitely.
Yeah.
That was surprising. I was like, because definitely some of those tours you do, and there's like 10 people there when you start, and then by the end it's pretty full. But this was like pretty much a downbeat for us. It was awesome for the whole set, and we had really good merch turnouts and
Great.
chatting.
And
with
we
people
were
and
actually,
stuff.
Alex and I were just talking about this. You know, obviously we have drums and electric guitar, electric bass, pedal steel. It's, you know, far from what Yonder's doing, you know, and, you know, whether or not you ostracize yourself a little bit with that crowd by just having those instruments in general, you know, like these people are like there for, you know, obviously Yonder's more than bluegrass, but
And the
at its
crowd's
core,
open-minded.
it's acoustic instruments, you know, so.
Yeah, it's not like it's Ricky Skaggs crowd turning out.
You know, but I think
That's
overall,
There's no Jesus in
but
it.
you know, overall it was very well received.
Yeah. I'm glad to hear that.
Super
And
fun.
very,
I thought
very
that was a
cool.
really good fit.
Yeah,
Just
too.
the pairing,
Yeah, it was
yeah.
cool.
Yeah, and we had Allie sit in with us a few times.
I saw a couple of you guys sat in with them, right?
All of us.
Yeah.
Yeah. At
Oh,
the
wow.
end. The
Yeah,
last
last
the
night
last-
encore we all sat in. That was really fun.
Was it good?
I have no idea.
I thought that was a good.
It was the last show of like a 5-week tour for us, and
So it didn't really matter if it
I had
was
just
good.
gotten sick,
Ah.
and so I think I was like ready.
I'd love
for
to
the end. So
have a more
I'm not sure
in-depth-
how good that one was.
I'd love to have a more in-depth conversation with you about how the whole tour went and your highs and lows, because it sounds like there was a bunch of them. Do you guys want to do another song for us?
Sure.
Great.
Yeah, this is one of my favorite songs on the album. It kind of brings it down a little bit. It's called Alive and Free. When the road you're on leads where you wanna go, life will take you places you wanna know. Fly across the stars, alive and free. Fly across the stars. Oh, you and me. Oh, you and me. When the world shows you places that you wanna go, lost familiar faces that you wanna know, hidden in your eye, in the shadow of a cottonwood tree, reminding me who I wanna be, where I wanna be. Oh, who I wanna be. Oh, fly across the stars, alive and free. Oh, fly across the stars. Oh, you and me. I'll hold you in my arms and crash into the deep blue. I'll hold you in my arms and we'll crash into the deep blue sea, into eternity, into the deep blue. Fly across the stars, alive and free. Oh, fly across the stars. Oh, you and me. Sometimes in life you get to where you want to. Sometimes in love you fall just where you're meant to. Sometimes this world shows you how to be free, alive and free. Oh, you and me, into eternity.
So number one, thank you. It was seriously a pleasure to have one of my favorite bands, and I mean that. You guys are one of my favorite bands.
We've been hanging out for a long time now.
Too long. Too long. But I mean it. I'm so grateful for you guys. I'm so grateful for what you've done for the Colorado music scene. I see huge things for you guys ongoing. And thank you guys so much again for coming in. The Drunken Hearts, everybody.
Thanks,
Anything else you guys want to mention, plug? Where
New stuff, where can we get your stuff, website?
TheDrunkenHearts.com,
Outside.
Facebook, Instagram,
Playing Manitou tonight.
Manitou Springs.
Oh, we're in Manitou.
Coming to Manitou.
Where is it? Lulu's? Okay.
It's gonna be a lot of fun.
You should do the climb before you...
Yeah, right.
You should have a heart attack right before.
Those brownies.
That sounds like what's today? Saturday? Yeah.
Local band gets lost on the mountain.
On a singular climb. Just up and down. All right, thank you guys so much. I appreciate it. Ladies and gentlemen,
Without
further ado, the mayor of Funtown, Vince Herman.
Absolutely.
How are you, buddy?
How much ado is appropriate this time of year? I mean, this is the ado season, isn't it?
That'll be the first time I've done
It's
that.
all right.
How are you, Vince?
I'm great, man.
Thank you for doing this. This means a lot to
You
me.
know it. You know it. It's like
Wonderful.
beautiful Colorado blue sky day. Good reason to get up and get out of the house.
Yeah.
Come
Where you
down
living?
off the mountain.
Are you living in the mountains now?
Yeah, I live up on Sugarloaf Road outside of Boulder.
Oh, okay, great.
Love it up there.
So beautiful. Canyon life is the life for me, man.
Yeah.
Gotta get off this flat land.
House full of music with my son Silas.
Oh, is he living there as well?
Yeah, yeah.
So amazing. I bet you guys are
Yeah.
having a great time.
Yeah, we've been firing up this little instant studio up there and stuff, doing some things. A lot of fun.
Great job raising that kid. What a wonderful kid. What a wonderful human being.
Both my boys are amazing.
They are.
Colin
They are
has just been playing a whole lot with Pioneer Mother and a couple other bands and doing that stuff. Silas is doing sound. Got the Herman clan. We're going to be doing our very Netherland Christmas thing on December 22nd. Third year in a row for that one.
Sounds, I believe so. That sounds like a lot of fun. Who's on that one?
This year we're going to have the Jack Clunan band.
We just had Jack in on episode 1. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
It was questionable for sure. We actually even thought about cutting the whole thing, but we put it out.
Boy, you must have edited the hell out of that one, huh?
So funny. He was on his way to Las Vegas from here too, so he left a bunch of gear and just headed on his way.
I played a show.
You got me? Okay.
Played a show at Cervantes.
Check.
I think 3 weeks ago, and I talked to Jack yesterday. He said, "Yeah, I got to head down to Cervantes. I left my credit card at there 3 weeks ago. I'm wondering if it's still there."
He said that to you?
Yeah.
He has a credit card.
Yeah.
Somebody extended him a line of credit.
Yeah. It's been at Cervantes for 3 weeks. Wonder who's been using it.
That's amazing.
Must be maxed out. Oh, that's good stuff. How are things with you? Life is good? Mm-hmm. Yeah? How's Leftover Salmon? It seems like you guys
Salmon is having a ball, man. We're approaching our 30th anniversary here on New Year's Eve.
Yay!
Wow.
30 years, some are just too dumb to quit, you know?
People are still turning out, though, eh?
Yeah, man, I'm telling you, it feels fresher than ever, man. At 30 years in, we're really psyched with this lineup. Is just ridiculous. I love getting to play with these cats, man, and I'm really, really happy with the state of affairs.
Sure.
I'd love to ask you about that. Leftover Salmon's sort of been an ever-evolving thing from the beginning days with Mark and kind of how you've evolved, and you had Gnome and other people have come and filled in and left, and I would say now you have a very invigorated lineup with a lot of really young blood with Alwyn obviously and Andy. How does it compare to the old days, and what's it been like to play with the young blood?
You know, I guess in the old days when we started off, you know, we played our first gig without any rehearsal or anything. We just threw these two bands together, Salmon Heads and the Left Hand String Band, and just saw what happened, you know. And, you know, we still kind of have that approach to seeing what happens, man. And man, when you let things go with those cats, man, there's a lot of vocabulary and a lot of things to say coming from that rhythm section of Garrison, Deutsch and Robinson, man. I mean,
I
it's
love Greg's
fun.
bass playing.
Yeah, it's rock
Some of
solid,
his
man.
jazz stuff. He's
Oh,
so
God, he's-
great,
yeah.
man. He's so great.
He's been with
too,
us,
I
I think,
mean-
18 years now, something like that. You know? So,
He's like he's the bridge between the old and the young there, I feel like Greg
He
is.
is, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Eric too. I mean, I personally was sad to see Billy move on a little bit, but I know you guys play a lot of late night shows, so it may have been more appropriate for him. I know he went off and played with the Doobie Brothers for a little bit, but
Yeah, you know.
he was an amazing addition to the band for a while. Talk about playing with Billy Payne.
oh man, I talk about vocabulary. I mean, you know, you break down something into an improv with him. It's amazing where he goes, man. And he's just an all-around great cat, man. Really smart, well-read. Definitely a historian, and you know, the musical conversation and the verbal conversations
Sure.
are always fascinating with Bill, man. I'm psyched. I'm going down to Jamaica with them for their Feet Fest here at the end of January.
Oh, is that what's the name of that resort? Is that the Jewel Paradise Cove? Is that
It's
that
at a new
something?
place.
Oh,
It
is
used
it?
to be in the grill. Now it's
Montego Bay, right? It's
Yeah,
just, that's the
yeah.
place. I've been down there.
Yeah.
It's a really great spot. Great folks down there, and real beautiful. So
Yeah.
we're gonna have a lot of fun with that one.
But man, the Feet just celebrated 50 years, man.
Wow.
You know,
Yeah.
even
Wow.
at 30 years, we're still the youngsters on the block, man. You know, I
Speaking of
feel
which,
young.
with you guys being around as long as you have, can you talk about what you've done for some of these? And maybe it's not easy to speak to, but you guys have paved the way for so many young bands. And I guess a better way of putting it is, how is it for you to watch a lot of these bands follow in your footsteps and look up to you? Is that a lot of pressure?
I don't go for a lot of that. You know, it started here kind of stuff, man. Because we're just following in the footsteps of Hot Rise and Newgrass and Nitty Gritty Dirt Band. You know, and that Colorado music scene has been producing great stuff for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm really glad that at 57 years old I could still be associated with younger bands like that. Genre-wise, I guess, you know,
Don't
so
act
it
like
feels great, man. You know?
You're the one that's up late keeping all the youngsters up.
Yeah, you're the one at the campfire at Rocky Grass or out in Telluride Town Park.
Why is it
playing
whenever
till
I'm
4
trying
in the
to
morning.
sleep at a
Yeah.
festival, I always hear you hooting and hollering. So, like you just said, all these great bands have come out of Colorado, and one of the epicenters of that scene is Nederland, Colorado. And can you talk a little bit about that town and the importance of what that town is to the Colorado music scene and a lot of these bands that have come out of it?
Well, you know, Boulder had a great history in the 70s. You know, a lot of artists would show up here, and as Boulder would get more expensive, there'd be waves of artists leaving. And I think a lot of them fled to the mountains, you know, and that, you know, was a place you could live cheaply. You could get a house full of bandmates, you know, pretty cheap. And
That's
go on the road
changing.
from there and do all that, and that's changing. Yeah,
Yeah.
it is. You know, you have to go over to Winter Park now, I guess. Look out, Alta. You know,
Avon is growing.
Yeah, Alma.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, you know, it's just a great breeding ground. I think, you know, because of the history that it's had, it's always been this great destination. And you know, let's face the fact, it is the first mountain to the west.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's what happened to me. I took the first mountain from the west when I migrated to Colorado in '85, man. You know, and just rolled into town, and the Left Hand String Band was playing that night. You know, so it's
The night you rolled into
yeah,
town.
yeah. First thing we did in Boulder, went to a Left Hand show. Kind of weird.
Set the pace.
Yeah, yeah.
That's cool.
Well, it's just amazing that you've kind of created this whole tradition and this lore around all of those stories, and it's been celebrated in a book recently, and it's been documented in some different video stuff that you guys have done. So it's just been really cool to see how far you guys have come and see the history. I think my first salmon show was like 2001. I went to the Salmon Fest in Camp Zoe when you guys were down there. And it was just like in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just been fun to watch you guys play over the years. So thank you for all that time.
Yeah, thank you so much for all your contribution to the music scene that we love, and so many great times that I've had in my life, and so many memories that have, you know, cemented themselves in my growth have involved you as kind of the troubadour, and it means a lot to me. And it means a lot to me to have you here, and we're grateful for you.
that's pretty amazing that a bunch of bozos just decided to jump off the cliff and play slamgrass music years ago. I've gotten to do all those things, and
It's great.
and have you feeling something like that. That's
For so many people.
That's an honor, man.
Yeah, thank you.
You think you could play us a song?
Sure, huh?
Right.
Since we're talking about the old days and all that wacky do,
1 second here.
do a little number here. Howdy out there in face world. This is my face, and these are the strings in front of it. And we were talking about the old days and how it used to was, and thinking how Billy Strings is going to just change everything from now on. And so these really are the brand new good old days. These days, I see they do a lot of dreaming, and I've forgotten all the scheming. I try to be in the here and now. These days, we're full of ever more distraction, but I find my satisfaction in the faces of these good friends gathered round. And these are the brand new good old days. Used to was got stuck in yesterday. It's never more now than it is today. These are the brand new good old days. These days, we won't be getting any younger. Before time takes us under, I'm gonna live big every minute of the day. These days, I don't think about tomorrow, 'cause the time just can't be borrowed. And tomorrows, they just turn to yesterday. These are the brand new good old days. They used to was got stuck in yesterday. Never more now than it is today. These are the brand new good old days. These days, I hear a lot of Christmas music, walking around, staying around away from malls and nights, try to stay out there in the mountains. Walking through that crispy snow in a Colorado blue sky, letting them old winds blow me to here and now. In these brand new good old days, my used to was got stuck in yesterday. It's never more now than it is today. Let's just say maybe Christmas morning. These are the brand new good old days.
Man, if my eyes weren't so dry from all the weed I was smoking, I'd be crying right now.
Oh, right.
Anybody have any Visine? Seriously, that was beautiful. I'm so grateful
Thank
for you.
you. Yeah. That's a fresh one. That's it's gonna be a new Salmon record.
Nice. Beautiful. Oh yeah, I can't wait to hear that with the full band.
What was the name of that song one more time?
Brand new good old days.
Brand new good old days. Thank you.
What's next for Vince Herman?
Mexico, Strings of Soul.
You in Mexico sounds dangerous. I like that.
How many times have you been down to that one?
As many times they've had it. I don't know how many times that is, but it's you know, in the high single digits. But it's great. It's kind of the core of our musical culture down there. It's Green Sky and Yonder and Railroad Earth and
With Dusters.
Fruition, the Dusters.
Dell.
You know, yeah.
I mean, what?
It's
Who's missing?
yeah,
Everybody.
it's and the fact that we go back every year and do that, it's just I don't know. Talk about feeling lucky to be part of
to be able
a
to go down
bigger
there and do
thing,
that.
a bigger culture, you know, in this in the madness we live in, where it's like we can't even agree on what truth is anymore. You know, I mean, it's good that there are people that agree that this music and this thing that we pursue at festivals and shows and what you're doing and all that stuff, it ties us all together in a way that makes a lot more sense than the rest of the world, and I'm really happy to have it.
Feels real. Feels truthy.
Yeah.
Music heals, and that's the thing that I've noticed in this sort of divided country that we live in. The part that we can all agree on is music, and that's where we need to kind of focus.
Not specific music though, because I hate most of the bands you like. But
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I won't judge you for it completely, but you can argue about music.
This year at Strings of Soul, Jen Hartwig and Nat Cressman are also going to be.
Oh yeah, wow, that'll be cool to have those gals around.
Yeah.
Wow, that's going to be such a cool lineup.
We've done a few shows where Natalie and Jen do the thing with the salmon, and it gets funky as could be.
Aren't they amazing?
Oh, it's so fun.
So powerful.
You got a big New Year's show coming up in Mission Ballroom with Carl Denson. You want to talk about that for just a second?
Yeah, Carl D, man. I mean, monster guy, known him a long time, and then he ends up playing with the Rolling Stones, man. Who'd have thunk it, well, it makes sense, man, but Bobby Keys is such a legendary cat. To walk into his shoes, I can't think of a better person than Carl for that. But, his band is just smoking, and Lindsay Lou and the Flat Bellies going to be out, too. Yeah. And we've got a mad circus kind of theme going on. It's been 30 years of a circus, and we're celebrating it all. That's awesome. We're blowing it out, and there's going to be a special unannounced musical performance at halftime there just before midnight, too, that is going to be rather...
My mind is racing right now. I can only imagine.
Yeah.
Oh, man, that's fun.
It's going to be something special.
Man, that's fun. Any other questions for Mr. Herman while we have him?
I would hate to leave without talking to you a little bit about just the event that we all kind of witnessed over at What the Night Brings and your role and how you sat in with Yonder. I'd just like to talk to you about your impression of the entire event and what it was like to be there.
Like I said, talking about being part of a larger community. Definitely good to feel that the community come together for that thing in ways that are just unbelievable. That lineup just showed so much love for our comrade Jeff there. It was choked up just thinking about it.
You gave so much that night, and it was noticeable. And as we were right up front for that, and I took so much from you, whether you knew it or not. I took so much energy from you while you were up there, and just pouring your emotion into it, and it was very healing for me and for all of us, and grateful for you. Grateful for what you did that night too. So. Whether you like it or not, you're sort of an elder statesman out here, especially in Colorado. So.
Well, I remember when the Yonder boys got to Nederland, and it was before they yondered up. They were just living in town and picking there all the time, and it was great. I'd come home from the road and there'd be, some cats to pick with, and then they ended up going on the road all the time, and then there's another load of cats coming, and then the Shanty Groove boys rolled into town, and then the bands kept coming. It was great to come home from the road and have all these young pickers just rolling around in Nederland,
It's so great.
It was
I love that.
Certainly a great era up there. I hope it continues.
Yeah, we're seeing some of the venues closing and coming and going, and the Pioneer Inn just recently announced that they're not going to be doing.
Yeah.
They're closing their doors. I guess I think that's accurate.
Yeah.
They are reopening.
They're going to reopen.
Yeah, they
okay,
are.
good. Yeah, you don't want to see these staples go away, and it's such a special town.
Sometimes when the sewage pipe blows out underneath the floor of an old Pioneer Inn, you might want to think about closing the thing. I guess there's things got a little rough up there.
I guess I just hate to see any of these historical, places that have housed so much.
Stage Stop is going to be back. Got a new owner, got it up and going again.
This is news to me. I was the last one booking it when it actually shut down. So
it's up and running again.
They were bought by the Gold Distillery, which is a distillery up in Rollinsville.
Oh, yeah. The distillery right.
Putting on a full music.
That's great news. I was saying they should get a brewery in up there and maybe get a stop on that Amtrak line. A little jump from Denver up there.
Someday.
I love that building.
Happen.
Speaking of sewage lines that are in the building that are broke.
One last thing before we let you go. Boogie at the Broadmoor. Tell me about it. It's now moved down to the Broadmoor. It was
No broken sewage lines at the Broadmoor. I'll tell you that. They're far, far away from that kind of scene. You know, we did the Stanley Hotel for a long time, and it was a unique thing. And now there's a lot of shows up there, so we really wanted to keep doing something unique for our friends. And the only place to go that was cooler than the Stanley was the Broadmoor. And to tell you the truth, I'm just shocked that we're allowed to go there. You know,
I was thinking the same.
I felt so out of place there at the event last year.
But you know they loved it. I talked to the head bellman on Monday morning after it and asked him, so what'd you think? You know, like, how was it? Well, no problem. There's one noise complaint, but you know that's not atypical. But I'll tell you, I think people were entertained. People would come down in the morning, you know, stand out there by the fire, and there'd still be a bunch of people out there with beers in their hands from the night before. Really entertaining folks. I think people really enjoyed it.
That's fun.
Well, that's coming up soon, so get your tickets for Boogie at the Broadmoor or catch Leftover Salmon at the Mission Ballroom with Carl Denson. Thank you so much for joining us today. It's been an honor.
Thank you, Vince. You mean the world to us, and you mean the world to this scene, and we got you. Should you ever need anything, buddy, we're here for you.
Yeah.
We're Team Vince all the way.
That's the thing about being part of this bigger community, man. We're all here for each other.
Yeah, for sure.
Beautiful thing.
So we're so grateful for you.
Thanks for having me here at the studios.
Yeah, the studio.
Yeah.
I told Vince it was a studio, so he would know that he was just showing up in my living room. Thank you.
This news on Music Marauder. Green Sky Bluegrass have just announced their next album will be a Tiny Tim retrospective.
Again?
It's gonna be good. It's gonna be good.
And by the way, open mic. Feel free to chime in throughout the news at any point. Please.
All right, so first in news, was mentioned earlier today, but Ophelia's is now being booked non-exclusively by Live Nation. We call them a quasi-independent venue. Ophelia's will book some of their own shows, but Brad, truly the question is, how long is that going to last?
And who's to say?
Yeah, Brad.
Apparently I'm the
Tell
expert.
us about Live Nation.
I'm going to say 2.5 weeks.
Wow, I like that.
Bold prediction.
Oh my God.
I have zero information about this, but I do find it interesting, and I think it's much like microbreweries getting bought up every which direction. I think this will be a challenge for people to remain independent.
Well, this is sort of a hybrid of an independent or a corporate venue. Now we're looking at an independent venue that has a corporate booking arm, non-exclusive, it sounds
Right,
like.
and it's fantastic. I mean, the Ophelia's is a fantastic venue in general, so now they might have a little bit more of a lineup that, you know, some of us will visit more regularly instead of,
Are you kidding me? Don't overstate Live Nation's buying power in this market.
They were the big dog for the longest time, and I think people forget that they were booking more than half of the shows at Red Rocks up until very recently.
And now here we are. So let's see what they can do at Ophelia's.
Colorado Music Hall of Fame just inducted Tommy Bolin the other night and Zephyr.
What a show.
Yeah, so there's a new player in town named Lucas Parker, and he has been basically touring around the country with Tommy Bolin's tribute project. And so when they decided to induct him, they brought Lucas in and kind of let him have his free reign. And with the help of Stanley Sheldon, he got a hold of Joe Bonamassa and Warren Haynes to sing.
That doesn't suck.
Wow.
And had quite an extraordinary show.
Who's Tommy Bolin?
Yeah, for those people that don't know, he is a virtuoso guitar player that really had a very short career. So what he did in the short amount of time that he was around was simply prolific. So I would invite anybody to listen to Tommy Bolin.
James.
He lived in Boulder, and in the early '70s, Michael Wooten, our drummer in Leftover Salmon, played in Zephyr with Tommy Bolin for a while and was in the band at the thing, I believe. He went on to after a couple of solo records, he joined Deep Purple.
And James Gann.
Yeah, the number of bands that he actually played with is pretty crazy.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Pretty awesome guy.
And great lineup for this show.
Yeah.
And at the Mission Ballroom, fantastic spot. Another kind of Colorado shout out. Numerous Colorado artists were given Grammy nominations recently. Ones that we want to shout out on the show: Gregory Allen Eisenkopf, Lettuce, who is not Colorado, formed here, but most of them are based. I would say.
No, they are. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
So
the guys
Lettuce
are
is
following here.
India R.E., who's an R&B artist, and then breakout rapper Trev Rich.
Is she from Colorado?
They all are. Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I do a lot of research for this session.
Is that the fake news article?
It might be one. You find it.
Yeah.
420 at Red Rocks was announced, and they're having Ice Cube along with Method Man,
About
Redman,
time.
and Action Bronson. Exactly, about time.
About time.
I was talking to Kevin earlier. Obviously, everyone's pretty much familiar with Ice Cube, Method Man, and Redman. He wasn't as familiar with Action Bronson, who is become just as much of a personality outside of his rap game. But I think that is going to be an extremely entertaining and probably baked show.
Is that the guy that has the eating show on Vice?
Fuck,
I
that's
totally.
delicious.
I could totally. You would be a good Action Bronson for Halloween.
Are you calling me fat?
Jolly.
Action packed. That's what we're calling it.
Action packed. Festival lineup season announcement is upon us. It is absolutely crazy how many festivals have announced. Del
Festival.
Del Fest. Yeah.
Can we get a festival?
I knew it was coming.
Del Fest, Shaky Knees, 48, Glastonbury, Floyd Fest, High Sierra, Dome Fest, Peach Fest, Hangout, Lollapalooza, Electric Forest have all announced in the last 2 weeks.
Wow.
Want to call out two specifically for our scene
Sure.
would be Floyd Fest and Peach Fest. The two lineups, if you have not seen them, are kind of anchored by String Cheese.
Wow. Yeah,
So String
great
Cheese
lineup.
is, and then Peach also has the return of Oysterhead as well. So I'm not part of the return of Oysterhead.
I think that also indicates what we talked about last time is that
Right.
Oysterhead is on the cusp of releasing a lot more dates, probably a lot of headlining festivals, probably.
they're going to do
You're
lock-in.
going to get a
We're
chance
looking
to
to
see
see
Yeah.
summer camp.
Yeah, summer
We're
camp's
looking for him
going.
to do summer camp.
But that Peach Festival lineup is absolutely
It's
ridiculous.
incredible.
It's insane.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was planning on going to that. I think I have a wedding that weekend, but I'm jealous that everybody's going to be able to attend that. That's going to be really incredible. And please support independent or relatively independent music festivals, or we won't have them anymore. Please, please, please. We're watching all these festivals disappear, so please pick out a couple good festivals this summer and start planning ahead.
I'd like to highlight High Sierra briefly, just for the fact that they've sort of rolling out their lineup as like just a rolling deal. They've got Spafford and Joe Russo's almost dead, and a couple others announced already, but they're not. That's about all that's been out. So look for them to release the full lineup in the coming weeks.
Speaking of those festival lineups, Turquoise has recently announced they're going to do some Remain in Light tribute shows, and Adrian Ballou as well as Jerry Harrison signed on for those shows, so that is going to be extraordinary. And they've already announced that they're going to be at Floyd Fest, Peach Fest, and I believe Electric Forest.
Is that Turquoise you're talking about?
Yeah.
What's up with Turquoise going monochromatic?
Yeah, they have changed from their color scheme. They are now wearing all black on stage.
Well,
Yeah.
What are they trying
black,
to say?
They said in one of their posts, they said they are a more mature band and they are growing up. They're trying something new. So the color was like a one phase of their life cycle, and now they're into a more kind of grown up life. So swear to God.
Okay, so I'm going to put my vote in right now for fake news. Let's see.
Michael McDonald is rejoining the Doobie Brothers.
Is this really news?
They say, no, it's news.
Yeah, it's
First, living in the street. First time in 25 years, he's going to be touring full with the Doobie Brothers. We have, that was actually not bad. We have 2 nights here at the Pepsi Center. I'm kind of excited. It's right before the Fish Sticks usual Labor Day shows, so nice little warm up for everybody.
How do you
More
like
fish
shows
drop
at the
for you.
Pepsi Center?
Yeah. How do I like shows at the Pepsi Center? I mean, I've only seen the Red Hot Chili Peppers, which was very disappointing. So I will say that's the only show I've ever been. And Tool, I saw Tool there, which was fucking incredible. So one for one.
They sometimes have sound issues there.
Yeah, 1 for 1.
It's a stadium.
A new Tiny Desk concert got released with rapper Freddie Gibbs, Madlib, and Marco Benevento on keys. And
Whoa.
yeah, so I haven't had a chance to
Weird.
check it out because I believe it literally came out yesterday. So but it's definitely something I'm interested in.
Marco's
checking out.
expanding. Let's just say that he's jumping in with everybody nowadays.
Ditching it up.
He is. He truly is. Speaking of new festivals, Estes Park, Roots on the Ridge, May 16th, 2020. Stay tuned for details and possible ticket giveaways. We'll see what we can work with.
What is this?
They have announced. They have no lineup or anything, but Estes Park is getting a new music festival. It's going to be smaller. It's called Roots on the Ridge. We don't know who's playing yet, but wanted to make sure we call out one of our local scenes up there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Also, yesterday, G Love released a new music video for a song called Soul BQ featuring our boy Roosevelt Collier.
Sweet. Okay.
Kev Mo produced it as well.
Is a G Love music video a news story?
With
No.
Roosevelt it is. With Roosevelt it is.
That's the fake news.
Roosevelt was listening earlier, so hope all is good.
That's cool.
Last thing I have is 380 musicians have sent a letter to Amazon starting the No Music for Ice campaign. They have taken their music off of Amazon Music because of Amazon's ties with ICE and Customs Border Protections. So good for those 380 artists. They're more in the pop scene that the artists are taking their music off. And Amazon's connection to ICE is through its database being used by a company called Palantir, which is a facial recognition software that basically feeds ICE and Customs Border Protection.
Shame on all of you.
Yeah, it's pretty fucking creepy. So, musicians uniting to take on one of the biggest companies in the world. Yeah, really cool.
Shame on you. Not the musicians, Amazon.
Coming up next, Spotify.
Lastly, Eric Clapton just announced that he's going to be doing a Ginger Baker special at London's Eventum Apollo Hammersmith on the 17th of February next year. And I was just about to double back to that.
Please.
Beck also clarified that he is not a Scientologist.
Lies. Thanks to the Drunken Hearts. Thanks to Vince Herman. Thanks to all of you. Thanks to Cervantes. Thanks to Mission Ballroom. Thanks to the Fox Theater. And thanks to everybody who tuned in again. This was episode 2 of Music Marauders live from Denver, Colorado. Happy holidays, everybody. Thank you so much.
Swollen tongue, wealth in the skies, and the siren song sweetly sucks me down to the ocean blue. Find my way back, rip up on my limb.